everyone! We are out here in a beautiful field of Mayocoba beans, and we are lucky to be joined by Andy Clark with Northern Feed and Bean, and he's going to share a bit about the beans with us. So Andy, I'd just like to ask, we were here when these were planted on May 25th, so about a month ago, but can you tell us a bit about what developmental stage they're in right now?
Sure. We just moved past the vegetative 1 stage. We moved to the vegetative 3 stage. Salty field. If you can look at this field right now, it's already been cultivated. You can see the granulars on the ground, and that's fertilizer that they spread earlier today. One of the biggest caveats with Mayocobas are weeds. And as you look to the south, I don't see any weeds. The Hunenbergs are famous for producing some of the brightest Mayocoba beans along the Front Range. So thank you, Chelsea, so much for letting me come out and take a look at this beautiful field today.
Oh, thanks for bringing us.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's a beautiful field.
Looking across the Front Range here, we've got a little cloud cover coming in, and it's been hot lately. Beans like warm weather, and I think that's one of the reasons why these pop so quickly since they were planted.
Yeah, and I think you said in about 2 weeks or so they'll be flowering. What's kind of the rest of their life cycle up till harvest?
Well, we're going to finish out the vegetative stage in probably 2 weeks. It's going to take approximately 45 days for these bean plants to move into the reproductive stage, or the flowering stage. The CRM, or the crop maturity, on these Mayocobas are 85 to 90 days.
Okay.
And so that's about halfway through there.
Yeah, they grow up so quickly, right?
Just like our kids.
Exactly. All right, so I think if I remember correctly, this field was planted at maybe 85,000 plants per acre, and I know beans in general can be good at water use, but in a field like this of these Mayocobas, what does water use look like? That's really important as we've been having a dry season when water is a bit short.
It's a great question. Let's talk about corn for 1 second. In order to raise 250 bushel corn, you need approximately 29 inches of water throughout the growing season. These beans right here, they'll pull off a tremendous yield in a field that is this clean, with probably 16 or 17 inches of water, so roughly a third less. This field was carrots the year before, and one of the reasons why the Hunenbergs like this type of rotation is that if you take a look how clean it is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Does that answer your question on water usage?
Yeah, so a lot less than some other crops that we grow out here like corn. So
Yes.
that's very helpful. All right, and then one question that we get asked a lot is, how can you tell the difference between beans? So if you're looking at, for example, a Mayocoba plant or a pinto plant or some other type of bean, how could you maybe tell that they're different?
That's a great question. At this stage, we can't tell the difference. Some breeders might be able to, but to my visual, until they get into that reproductive stage where you see some actually flowering and some pod set. Mayocobas, after that, when they move into the reproductive stage, you're going to see pods that might be a little less shallow and fewer beans per pod.
Yeah.
Versus pintos, you're going to see, some of those bigger pod sets.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so right now hard to tell, but later on it becomes a bit more obvious. And I know, for instance, if we're looking at a cowpea or something, then it looks really dramatically different from a pinto, but when you're in the bean family, then it's maybe a bit harder to tell. All right, excellent. And then, we're all huge fans of beans here, but is there anything else you wanted to share about 1 month in, how the process has been going, or any thoughts for what their future looks like?
I'd just like to touch base on the stewardship that this family provides for this area. If you take a look at this field, if you had weeds in this field, obviously when you water it, you're feeding the weeds until you knock them down with a herbicide. And beans have their nitrogen fixating themselves, but yet you can see the Hunenbergs took the time to apply a little extra dry fertilizer here, and it just adds to the yield, it adds to the flavor of the crop, and so it's a treat to be here for sure.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to meet them last time and get to ride in the tractor. They're a fantastic family, and thrilled to be here, and we will come back and we'll check on them in another couple weeks or so, and I think we'll join for harvest as well. So we'll get to see their whole life cycle
I
from
love
seed to
it.
harvest. Thank you so much, Andy. We really
Thank
appreciate
you,
your time.
Chelsea.
Thanks.